Good evening. Thank you for joining, spending some of your precious time here. Welcome. Nice to be here. Tonight, we are going to cover another gratitude exercise, and hopefully you find it useful, maybe a bit calming, and hopefully helpful. Now, if gratitude and gratitude work might feel a bit silly or not very tough to you, I don't judge you. I can see how it might seem lame or loserish, but I do believe that there is scientific evidence, or I know there is evidence, but I do believe that gratitude can, at the very least, help reorient our minds to seeing the opportunities in a particular moment or in a circumstance, to see the growth avenues instead of looking at feeling trapped or feeling the downsides. Of course, there's going to be positive and negatives always, but to train the mind to see the things that we can appreciate can open us up to feeling more contentment, happiness. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I do think that openness can also lead to more creativity too. So if you're looking to be creative, it might be helpful, in addition to tapping into your state of feeling, to think of some of the things that you enjoy or that you can be happy for. And it doesn't have to be something that we think of as a typical gratitude exercise. Often we can talk about feeling grateful for the breath or for being alive today. But there's an infinite possibility, or an infinite array of possibilities for what we can be grateful for. So I thought today we would pick a few, and maybe an obvious one would be friendship. And I'll write that here. And friendship, to me, doesn't have to necessarily be with humans, but it can be. And I am so very grateful for human and non-human connections that I have, and or at least having memories of friendships and experiences. If friendship is an area that you struggle with, being a friend to yourself is something that we are given for our entire lives. And maybe we can ask ourselves, especially during this time, how we can be more friendly to ourselves. What are some activities that we might do with friends that we can also do in our own company, to laugh, to have joy, to have positive emotions, deep conversations, things that we're accustomed to. And if we're having to be distant for various reasons, physically perhaps during this time, what are ways that we can connect to nurture those friendships? I bet you could either think of or search up some very fun and interesting ideas. Friends, in so many ways, can be a way to mirror yourself or to see what you enjoy about other people, to see what you enjoy about yourself, and just to feel a flood of joy in general. That laughter can be really, really wonderful. When I said non-humans for friendship, I tend to really, really love puppies and dogs. I love all animals, but if I see a puppy, I think I want to explode and I look like an idiot because I might be having a serious discussion with somebody during a walk, and then I squeal, and I think it disturbs the person that I'm with because I don't know that humans should get that excited, but their little faces, oh my goodness, I don't think I can draw a dog, but their little faces, this might look like a cat, so I'm embarrassed. Anyway, this is my attempt at an animal. Oh, look it, the whiskers. There's the happy guy or gal. The ears and the tail that goes up and it's wagging so much because they're happy to see you and you're happy to see them. I love puppies. I'm not sure if it's how giddy they get or they're just so loving and playful and sweet sometimes. That really appeals to me. However, I can understand if you're not a puppy person, they can be very clingy and very needy, so I don't shade you at all if you prefer other animals or a different kind of animal. So one thing that occurred to me is that these days how things can be so, I guess, can be tough. It's good to appreciate something outdoors in nature. My printing has always been a struggle. I think, as a side note, cursive has always been okay, or capital letters, but printing can be a bit of an abomination. I don't know if anyone has experienced that, but if you do, we're in a similar boat. So, finding something in the outdoors, even if it's something new and unusual to feel forgiveness for. I love some of the changes that occur with seasons. So, if it's seeing different species of animals come and go in their breeding cycles, to see different plants flower at different times of year, different fruits and vegetables, to show that can be a lovely thing to experience, for example. And on a more, I guess, emotional side, I thought it could be a pleasant thing to consider forgiveness. As a thing to be grateful for. And again, forgiveness and compassion can be oriented towards the self. to be forgiving of mistakes, to be comfortable with the fact that as humans we make mistakes, and in order to grow we must make mistakes. It's inevitable. I think if we accept this, we might see that others will make mistakes. And a wise person told me that forgiveness is not equated with reconciliation necessarily. So if, for example, you have been mistreated or a boundary has been crossed to the point that you set standards to walk away from a situation, that is okay. That is not forgiveness. That's different. Forgiveness is to relieve yourself of the emotional burden and to feel at peace, to let go of what happened and to be able to move on, whether with that person or without. Now, of course, we're stuck with ourselves. We're stuck with ourselves. But because I think of anybody being forgiving of the self is the most important. So, being messy can be okay. To fall and pick ourselves up can be okay. How else are you going to learn to climb a wall if you have just an easy time doing everything? That would be so boring, wouldn't it? If everything came easy, gosh. Don't you find if you're doing a puzzle that you can't wait for the puzzle to be done, but then when it's done you just want to work on another puzzle? That's a funny thing, the mind. We like challenges and we like solving challenges to feel the excitement of and reward of reaching a new goal. And then we rejoice and we celebrate, and as the senses and feelings of that celebration wear off, we are ready to take on our next challenge. So, something to keep in mind, that it's okay to have areas of growth. It makes us fulfilled, and we can learn and move forward in various different ways. Forgiveness. Thank you for forgiveness. As I look at this, I can't get over puppies. And I tend to call adult dogs puppies. It's silly. They could be in their senior years, and I'll still call them a puppy and still talk to them in a baby voice. I'm a bumbling idiot when it comes to puppies and dogs. So, very happy they're basically beauty outdoors for me. There's other things, of course, that I value and cherish. I love sunset. Oh my goodness. One of my favorite things is to see the change of color in the sky. It's so beautiful. So beautiful, and it's fleeting. Sunsets don't last all day, so you really have to appreciate them while they last. And I also love looking up at the stars when it comes to outdoors. So beautiful. Always different stars to admire, different stars to appreciate. Always so many stars to appreciate. I love looking up at the sky and admiring all the different points. Just think about it. I think that we can only stars in our own galaxy. Isn't that incredible? That we're just one of so, so many. You know, as I say it, it keeps surprising me because it's a habit I would like to take up, is to look at the sky more. Maybe to learn a bit more about astronomy, because I'm always humbled when I look up at the night sky, when I really take a moment to look up at it. It just reminds me of how small and yet how significant. It's like we're both insignificant in terms of how big and expansive the universe is, but we're also so precious. Even if there's so much life out in the universe, endless life, the fact that we are here is almost unbelievable. But I can believe it, of course. So looking up at the stars and appreciating different phenomenon. I love seeing, I don't know, I'm running out of space, but when you can see planets in the night sky. Oh my goodness, isn't that so cool? Sometime you should look up and find out if you can see a planet in your area and what time of year. Mars and Venus. Mars and Venus. They can actually reflect a bit of a tint in color, I think, maybe depending where you are in the world or how well you can see them. And sometimes you can see Jupiter. Sometimes you can see Saturn. It's pretty phenomenal. I'm sure you could see Mercury as well. So much to be grateful for again regarding the outdoors, astronomy, and to think about how small and yet how big we are. There's this very cool video that shows how multiplying distance by 10 can lead to eventually looking at the whole universe. So if you start with a dude standing here, or dudette, whomever, and you back away, if you multiply 10 times away so that you go up into the sky and you're looking down at said person, and that's a factor of 10, you can multiply that again by 10, and again by 10, and again by, I guess my hands are 10, and you see how quickly we are no longer visible. You can see Earth like a tiny pinpoint, even smaller than this drop or this point that I just drew here. And then it comes back to the person and it can zoom in times 10, times 10, times 10. And it zooms in again times 10. So zoom in times 10, you might be able to see something on the skin. You zoom in again times 10, and you can see perhaps structures that are not very easily visible, like when beauty YouTubers zoom in on their faces with those special cameras. I secretly enjoy watching those. But then you zoom in again, and you start to be able to see cellular structures, and just to see how many times it takes us to get to, I'm not sure if it's quantum space, but to the point where atoms exist. It's quite a bit. So it just shows you how expansive and how complicated this world is. So I love the poetry line from, I believe, William Blake, and forgive me because I think I'm going to misquote it, but it goes something along the lines of, to see the world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wildflower, to hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour. I've always loved that. I do apologize because I don't think that's correct, but I do believe the author is William Blake. It's quite a long poem, but I believe those are the first four lines. If you want to laugh at me, I heard that poem in Tomb Raider, not because I was so well versed in poetry. The movie Tomb Raider with Angelina Jolie, but that doesn't mean I couldn't begin to do more investigation and learn. So I guess maybe I'll close with that. There is so much to learn forever, so much to learn. And even one day when we perhaps create a system that makes our minds more in touch with an abundance of information, so that humans are connected in a way to learn and read and consume information so much faster than we do today, I imagine that still, in spite of all that evidence, all the things that we humans have discovered so far, there is still an endless amount of information to discover. And so I'm very grateful for that. Grateful for endless discoveries. And I'm grateful for your time. Thank you kindly for your energy, for your space. And I wish you a peaceful evening. Hopefully you get some sleep, relaxation. Signing out. Oh my God.